Okay, we're moving on to section 14.6, a really easy part, like something that you could have done in first year, and you can see why I left it till the end, because it's quite simple. Okay, so it's talking about rounding to significant figures, and this will be like at the end of a question. It said give your answer to one significant figure, two significant figure, or decimal places. So what we're going to do is we're going to just remind you about rounding to decimal places. Again, it should be, that's something you did in first year, and then we'll move on to significant figures. Hopefully it's simple to you, but you round like in everyday life. You round when you're in the shops and you're buying a few things, and if something's €6.85 and something is €5.10, you'd round €6.85 maybe to €7 in your head, and €5.10 down to €5. You're doing it constantly. So just to make sure that you're accurate, I'm going to do these four, and then I'm going to talk about significant figures, and then there's a quick thing on estimation we'll look at, but this should be fairly simple. Round the following to 3 decimal places. So you want 3 decimal places after the decimal point. So it's 6.8 and then 5. And then what I do is I look at the number after the third decimal place. So 7, is that above 5 or above? And if it is, it brings it up, and it's going to bring this one up. So it's 6.854. That brings that one up to that. That is rounded to 3 decimal places. If it asks for 3 decimal places, give 3 decimal places. 2 decimal places, so it's going to be 7.4. I look after the second decimal place. That 1 is below 5, so that 7 stays the same. 7.47. 3 decimal places, 3 decimal places, 2 decimal places, 2, and there's going to be 1 here, so it's 8.87. That 7 is going to bring it up, so it's 8.9 to 1 decimal place. Okay, and then you had more difficult ones, just showing you, just to be sure that it's this one is 6.9, and that actually we'll change this to a 6 in a sec, just to make it a bit more difficult. So 9, 9, and then this would bring it up. So what you have to do, you have to go back and rub that out. Because this rounds this up to a 10, this rounds this up to 10, it's actually 7.00. And because it's 2 decimal places, don't put down 7. It asks for 2 decimal places, so put 0.00. And the only reason everything changed is because that 6 rounded that 9 up, which rounded that up, which rounded that up. Okay, so they're the only ones that could have got a bit trickier. So I'm going to go on to significant figures, and that's the new thing. That's just a reminder of decimal places. So take those down if you're unsure. And this is the most important one, because significant figures, I'm sure I've explained them at some stage before, if we've come across them anyway at some stage before, just to officially get them covered. So round these to 3 significant figures. So significant figures just means the first 3 non-zero numbers. So your first significant figure is the first non-zero number, and then the 3 numbers after that. So the first non-zero number is obviously 3, 7, and then this is the third significant figure, and you look at this one, does it bring it up? It's the same rules as decimals, bring it up or keep it the same. It keeps it the same, and the other 2, that is not rounded to that, because that number is not close to that. That's 373, that's 37,000, so it's 37,300. You've replaced the last 2 with zeros, because what this number is, it's sort of a simplified display of this. So again, I think they talk about it in football matches. If the attendance to Old Trafford is 80-something thousand, they'll generally say, oh, it's about 85,000 or whatever. Okay. Next one, to 2 significant figures. So there's my first significant figure, there's my second. So we put a line after that. 2, and is this 9 going to bring it up or bring it down? It's going to bring it up. So it's 25,000, and the others get replaced. That's the 2 significant figures. So you can see with 3 significant figures, there's 3. With 2, there's 2. Okay, one significant figure. So your answer is going to be close to this. So after our first significant figure, which is the 6, we put a line, and we say, does that bring it up or keep it down? It's keeping it at the 6, and the rest are replaced with zeros. So that's rounded to 1 significant figure. 3 significant figures. Again, I've thrown in some different ones here because there's zeros involved. So my first significant figure is the first non-zero number is 4. This is a significant figure. This is. So every number after that is a significant figure. So after 3, it's going to be 4, 0, and that 3 is going to be, this 2 doesn't bring it up. So 40,300. Now this is where some people get confused. When you're rounding to significant figures, the first significant figure is the first non-zero number. So we don't count that as a significant figure. We don't count that. That's our first significant figure. So we put 0.04 and then after the second significant figure. So this brings it up 0. And you don't, in a decimal, you don't have to put a 0 after because it's after the decimal point. So 0.042. And I'll do another one similar to that. That's not a significant figure, that's not a significant figure, and that your first significant figure is the first non-zero. So it's going to be 3. Now because this is in the number, it is a significant figure. Once you've got your first significant figure, the rest of them are. So 0. And just be careful, I'm going to have to go back 3. This is going to get rounded up, this 9. And that gets rounded up to a 10, which in turn is going to round this up to a 1. So, and I put in my 0, it says 3 significant figures. You didn't have to, so it's 0.00310. Okay, so that's significant figures. And I'm just, if you want to take down those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you don't have to take down the rounding ones to decimal place if you don't want. And all then it does in the book on top of that is an example making an estimate, which we all do in real life anyway. We sort of round things to make it easier. Make an estimate of the following. So in your head, what would you round that to in real life? You'd round it to 10, wouldn't you? What would you round that to? 30. What would you round that to? 0.2 or 0.25. What would you round that to? 50. And that's what they mean. Round it to something that you can work with nice and easily if they're asked an estimate. So you might see some questions like that where it wants you to round it. And again, if you'd rounded this to 2.25 and found 0.25 of 50, that would have been fine as well. Okay, so and if you want to check your results using a calculator, do that and you'll see it should be close to your estimate. Alright, remember estimates aren't exact, they're just to give you a good view of what the number is going to be. Alright, so any questions please ask. That's fairly handy, hopefully, and we'll I'll give you some questions, but again they'll be nice and short, and any questions please reply.